And then I was ready to move to the next part, which was supposed to be the most intense part of this draft. And it took me most time as well, more than an hour, I think, because what? I had my piano, I had my ethnic drums, I had some pads, I had some synths, mainly this one, and yeah, that was some kind of a starting point. The piano was the starting point. And so on and so on and so on. Of course, that was not enough, so I added a synth. And this is kind of interesting. It appeared very simple and very effective. You can see it's named piano. It repeated the piano melody exactly with no effort. I just created some more advanced LFO manually. I chose this very electronic dubstep tone for it, and it went like this. Yeah, I like it. And then I had a feeling that, okay, let's add some pads to it that I actually already have. Let's add this additional synth that I have here. And also let's turn on the drums, the ethnic drums I already had. And it was like this. Yeah, it was some kind of working. I also made some tweaks, rhythmical tweaks, so the notes in the rhythm of the synth, of the piano, of the drums, it all had to fit together, like no arguing between sounds, like some kind of harmonious cooperation of sounds. It's important, guys. Choose the places where your instrument's gonna play together. If they don't play together, if there's silence, make it a plan, make it out of something, not by accident. Take care of it. And, of course, I was feeling that I'm ready to create the drums. And I have to tell you something. I never created anything dubstep-like. I'm serious. And I always thought, well, dubstep basses, dubstep rhythms, Skrillex and stuff, yeah, this is kind of difficult. I have to tell you, it's not difficult at all. You have to know how to do it. I spent like 15 minutes on listening, 20 minutes listening and analyzing to some dubstep tracks with dubstep drum elements like Skrillex. And I realized it's not difficult at all. And when I analyzed this, I came up with the drums again really, really quickly. I took my Battery 4 and I decided to use some samples from Break Tweaker Isotope library. It's a marvelous library of samples. I love them, and there's a lot of great techno, minimal, hip-hop, and also dubstep samples that are really cool right away. You don't have to tweak them much, they're gonna sound great. And I created this rhythm. Yeah, simple enough, dubstep enough, and then I took some hi-hats and I found actually a good loop, hi-hat loop. I don't use loops too much, I have to tell you. I prefer my own rhythms, but I was like, okay, it really fits here, so let's use it. And then I took another loop with hats, just appeared like this, and I was like, I don't have to do anything. It's there, it works. Very basic. Of course, I'm gonna do something more to it. It's not fully there, but yes, there is this dubstep feel of something, this dubstep punch, this dubstep like broken rhythm kind of stuff, right? And what was next? Of course, bass. And I tested the bass with drums. I have to tell you that creating bass lines is not my strongest point. I didn't want to spend too much time on it, so I decided to keep it really, really simple, like the simplest bass line. plus some additional bass elements that's gonna be dubstep-like. And I created also a very short one note of additional bass, and I placed it in some even spaces, as you can see, like every 2 bars, and it worked. It was enough. Yes, that was there, and I don't know, I do believe it works, and I do believe that was fast. And then when I added the synth, when I added the pad and all the rest, it appeared, whoa, it really kicks in. And the last thing I decided, not the last, the last will be in a minute, I decided to make also some kind of an ethnic flavor present. So I knew I have this synth line here that repeats the piano. And I thought, okay, it was cool before, but now in the main, strongest part of the song, let's make it stronger. So I took dulcimer, hammer dulcimer. Also, I love this instrument a lot. It's by Cinematic Instruments. And I made it feel more expressive. Yes, my friends. And well, together with ethno drums, together with bass line and everything else, and the vocals here, I felt it works. Yeah, vocals. I also think that that was enough for this draft. Yeah, it's just an idea how the lyrics with the melody could go, and I left it like this, and here's how it sounded. What I did next was really quite simple, but efficient. I removed some hats, first part of the hats and the second part of the hats. I filtered down the synth again, and also I removed some other, like this dulcimer thing, this synth 5 thing, and I made this refrain simply fade out a bit, like we're heading to the end. Yeah, and guys, that was it for just creating an arrangement draft. I also took a listen to everything. I did some corrections in harmonies and melodies and rhythmical elements. I adjusted some notes here and there, and I took a listen to the whole thing. And then there was the last part I took care of. It took me also less than an hour, I believe. Yes, less than an hour. I had to do some very basic pre-mixing of this thing. And it came like this. First of all, I have presets of tracks, and also presets for mixing quickly. So I just take track presets from my list and I drop them on the timeline, and I don't have to worry too much because all my tools, my favorite tools and chains are here for me. Nuendo and both, I think, Cubase are great at it, and they give you very, very fast access to some insert presets and to track presets. I highly recommend this. So I took my favorite Smart EQ3, for example, on the piano part. I did some basic corrections automatically. Then I took Gullfoss that did some automatic job for me too. Some manual corrections with Pro Q3, Soothe 2 for some removing some piano resonances, and then LA2A Silver, which is my favorite one for vocals and piano. And with the vocals I created a group, same story, Smart EQ3 Fab Filter, and again LA2A Silver by Universal Audio. Universal Audio plugins, analog emulations are amazing for mixing. I love them a lot. I had to take my time to learn them, but since I did this, it's really flawless, and it's also very efficient. I know these tools quite well now, I believe. Then came the drums and Pro Q3 here. Actually, nothing on the heads here. Pro Q3 here again. And then quick Smart EQ3. TOD, which is similar to Gullfoss, but I think sometimes it works better, for example, on drums. So I went for TOD here, it's by Voxengo. Then I saturated the drums with Saturn, did some manual EQing, and then 117XAE by Universal Audio, which is my favorite one for drums and bass lines. And then I took a limiter, Pro L2, and then came the bass, Pro Q3, a simple one, 1176, also Pro MB. Why is Pro MB here? Because, of course, I'm side changing the lowest part of the bass, taking the signal from the kick. It's something that most of you probably know. If you don't know about it, read about it, see some vids on it, because side chaining between bass and drums is really important for your mix. Take care of it. Then came the second part of the bass, and there's actually nothing here. Then came a synth, one of the synths with some corrections, and also I did the same thing. I took the signal from the drums to make the low end work according to the drums, leaving some space in the bass department. I did probably the same for the synth. Yes, exactly. I also enriched this. I spiced up the flavor using Portal by Output. I love this thing. Gives me marvelous results in minutes. Also manual EQing with Pro Q3. Just a little bit. Another synth, Pro Q3, another synth with Pro Q3, and then I created one group for all the synths, like quickly, and there's TOD here, doing the tonal balance for the whole group, and 1176 AE also on some moderate settings like 4:1 compression. Yeah, and then came the reverb. I told you, Black Hole. Very nice, very quick, with great, beautiful tone. The pads had some also Portal to spice up the general texture of the sound, some SUS, some FabFilter Pro Q3, and then LA2A for pads here and for pads here. I did not create a group out of them because I was in a hurry. And then came Dulcimer with some EQing. I can't even see any compression for this Dulcimer, who cares? Choir Head Pro Q3, and some stereo imaging, like making it wider. Okay, also no compression here. I was in a hurry because the director was waiting, probably. I don't really remember this, but yes, I was in a hurry. And then came 8 Ethno drums, which had some very basic EQing, because Hans Zimmer drums, they sound great right away, out of the box, without too much tweaking. Then came Smart EQ3 with a very slight curve, Pro Q3 with some additional tweaks, and 1176 AE by UAD again. So my reliable set of mixing tools that I know well, and I know I'm gonna achieve basic results really quickly. And it was like 3 minutes 45, 3 hours 45 minutes, all this. And then came the mastering. I took some breaks to cool the things down, to take a fresh listen, because it's also important. Make like 5, 10, 15 minutes breaks, guys, when you work, because your hearing is adapting very quickly also to the mistakes you make. You're just carried by the emotion, by the cool flow in the studio. Yeah, it's great, it's great. It's easy to stop your critical thinking, like keep your critical thinking going, and that requires break. This is one more tip. Keep your work full of breaks, actually. And then came the last part. It was, well, so-called mastering. Like very also really guys, very simple. I use a really simple basic chain for this, and I went for TOD again for the tonal balance, because really it evens the things. Worked for me. Also some very slight manual tweaks Here I took care of the mids that were standing a little bit too much out, and then came my my also main choice for the mastering EQ equalizer, which is massive passive. Sounds beautiful always. Then came SPL Iron with some very also basic settings, and then came Pro L2. And guys, it was actually 4 hours without 5 minutes. The draft was ready to send to the director. And I have to tell you, I'm really happy with it. I think it's good. It gives me good prospects to create a good track. It took me 4 hours. Making it a fully produced, fully mixed, really nice sounding thing is going to take up to 12 hours from now on, I believe, because really it's almost there. I did a lot of stuff on the way, and well, 10 to 12 hours to create a full track like it's produced. It's got vocals, it's fully mixed, fully arranged. I think it's really a cool result, and I do feel productive. And that's what I wanted to show you. Today, let's sum the things up. How should I sum the things up to give you like the tip of all tips? Well, it's simple. Just keep on working, keep on gaining skills, new skills. Every day, keep on educating musically, technically, and also, well, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to take your time, and also read some books or see some YouTube videos that are worth taking a look. And maybe you'll find them on my channel too, sometimes. That's it for today. I hope to see you soon. Take care. I'll be back.